Loving Sai Ram and a warm welcome to each one of you, dear brothers and sisters, to this Satsang from the studios of Sri Sathya Sai Media Center. In a week from now, we will be soaking ourselves in the sacred vibes of the festival of Navaratri. And Dasara has always been an awe-inspiring festival in Prasanthi Nilayam. And today, we are going to talk about one facet of the Dasara celebration. In the next week, you are going to have a detailed discussion on the beautiful history, the lovely beauty, sublimity of the Dasara celebrations in Prasanthi Nilayam. We are not going into those details, but we are going to take up only one facet of the Dasara celebration. And joining me in this beautiful endeavor is Brother Amay from the Sri Sathya Sai Center for Human Values. So what about Dasara are we going to discuss today? Dasara, the moment you utter the word Dasara in Prasanthi Nilayam, what comes to your mind is those powerful, recharging, energizing, sonorous chants of the Vedic hymns. At least that's what surfaces in my mind, because for so many years, you have had the beautiful Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yagna, and Prasanthi is overflowing. You are bathed in those sacred vibrations. And when you think about it, Bhagwan has been the Veda Purusha. He said, I have taken this form for Veda Rakshana. And he has been encouraging students, devotees right from the 50s to chant the Vedas, to learn the Vedas. But something beautiful happened in the last 9 years of his physical sojourn when Bhagwan made Vedic chanting synonymous with darshan. Isn't it, Amay?
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, it was like if the Vedam chanting started, then Bhagwan is going to emerge. Has the Vedam chanting mellowed down? That means Bhagwan is inside. Has the Vedam chanting volume increased? That means Bhagwan is outside. It is like if you want to see the Lord, if you want to see the form of the Lord, you should be tuned to the word of the Lord. And the word of the Lord is the Vedas. And that is how Bhagwan in 2003 instituted this mass chanting of Vedam during darshan. In fact, the way it happened, Bhagwan started asking the students, how many of you know Rudram? This is the first thing that came from Bhagwan's mouth. How many of you know Rudram? And the list was sent to Bhagwan. Swami told those boys to come and sit in the front. All this happened sometime in 2003, September, October 2003. And Swami would come out, sit and just listen to the chants. And it happened that there were days when the chants would go on for half an hour, 45 minutes. In fact, they used to cut into the bhajan time. There were days when Swami didn't even want bhajans. He just sat, just heard Rudram and Purusha Suktam and Shri Suktam and asked for Aarti, and he went. And that continued for so many days. Until one day, Swami told a research scholar, from tomorrow onwards, when I come for darshan, the Veda chanting should begin. And that is how darshan and Veda chanting became similar spiritual sadhana for everyone. Bhagwan was letting the world know that Veda chanting is as important as seeing the Lord. And we thought this Rudram, which was so dear to Bhagwan, which Bhagwan made it a part of the Prasanthi routine. The early morning chants, Prasanthi wakes up with the chants of Rudram. After that, you have the Nagar Sankirtan. Morning prayers, you have Rudram. Evening prayers, you have Rudram. So this Vedam chanting, which has become the signature sound of Prasanthi Nilayam today, this is what creates that ambience. This is what creates that vibration. When you step into Prasanthi Nilayam, you feel you have stepped into a different world, into a paradise of peace. And I think it is these beautiful vibrations that make Prasanthi so special, isn't it, Amay?
Absolutely. In fact, today, not only does it make Prasanthi Nilayam so special, but through the Sri Sathya Sai Media Center, when everybody logs into Prasanthi Nilayam at 8 o'clock in the morning, there's a Prasanthi in every house, and it starts with the reverberations of the Sri Rudram. So there is a Prashanti being created, and I'm sure a lot of devotees also write that the moment the Omkaram starts and the curtains, go apart, revealing the Sannidhi to all of us, there is Swami seated in every home in the
and
in
especially
the world.
in these times when you're not able to come to Prasanthi Nilayam physically.
Exactly. So one of the things that we will try to deal with is Vedam has always been very, very dear to Swami. But for a very long time, it was restricted to possibly the few minutes before a divine discourse.
Correct.
And predominantly during the Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yajnam. Before 2003.
Correct.
It used to be kind of restricted to that.
Yes.
From 2003, it became ubiquitous.
Yes.
It became like, as you mentioned. Now, how to understand this Vedam? I like to give you an analogy here. So imagine that you have the ultimate course that you want to take, okay? Let's say the course of self-realization.
Okay.
And there is this main book, the main text, which is going to teach you how to get to the self-realization, and all of us want that. And over the years, the aeons and the yugas, several masters have come and they have given a commentary on that book. So all the courses that we have been attending thus far have been commentaries on that main book.
Yes.
Now imagine if I were to tell you that the original author of that book has come down and he is going to take a course on the book of self-realization.
Wow.
Which course would you like to attend? Please tell me. The reason I'm saying courses because these days there are so many online courses, one that I'm attending myself. But I was just thinking that imagine if the original author were to introduce a course to us.
Yes.
Okay, and that is Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba offering us the course of Vedam.
Yes.
And in that Vedam, there's a very beautiful line which goes as follows. It says, Vidyaso Shruti Ritkrishta Rudrai Kada Sinishhrutau Tatra Panchakshari Tasyam Shiva Ityekaksharam Dvayam.
Wow.
Which means that amongst all of knowledge, amongst all Vidya, the Shruti, the Vedas are the ultimate, Utkrishta, which is the ultimate.
Yes.
And within the Vedas, the Rudram is considered to be the ultimate. And within the Rudram, it is the Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya or Namah Shivaya, which is supposed to be the heart of Rudram. And within that Panchakshari, Shiva, the two-syllabled, Dvayaksharam, the two-syllabled Shiva is the heart of that.
Wow.
And now how incredible that Swami made us chant Rudram. Whether it was Krishna Janmashtami, whether it is Ramanavami,
Yes.
whether it is Navaratri,
Yes.
including the fact that the reason why we have taken Rudram today is even during the Navaratri Veda Purusha Saptaha Jnana Yajnam, the one homam that goes on every day is the Rudra Homam. Okay, so every day you will hear the sounds of the Rudram and Swaha. Right? So that is how important Rudram is.
Yes.
And Swami gave us that ultimate crash course so easily. We didn't even ask him. Now, what is so special about the Rudram? The Krishna Yajurveda, strangely the Yajurveda, remember that because Swami's residence was also called the Yajur Mandiram. In the Krishna Yajurveda, this Sri Rudram comes right bang in the center of the Rudram, and it is therefore considered to be the most beautiful part. So it forms the 5th chapter of the Taittiriya Samhita of the Krishna Yajurveda. And the beauty of Rudram is that it is also called Rudra Samhita, Taittiriya Samhita, which is the first part of Vedas, and it is also called Rudropanishad, which means it is an Upanishad which comes at the end of Vedas. So in a sense, the Rudram is pretty much it is the summary of all of Vedas, right from Samhita, right up to Upanishads. How beautiful is Rudram and how is it connected to Swami? Let me, we know this very well. Probably one of the most dearest devotees of Swami was the Venkatagiri Maharaja. And we all know about him. He was a big man, 6-footer, and he loved Rama. And Swami had given him the darshan of Lord Rama. And after that, he was convinced that the one who was coming to visit him, was none other than Sarvadevata Swarupa. And it is said that when Swami would go to Venkatagiri, and when Swami would be taking his morning ablutions in the restroom, in Swami's room, while Swami would be having bath, the Venkatagiri Maharaja got the top Vedic scholars of that time to chant the Rudram while Swami had bath. The reason being, that form of Swami is the lingam, and that lingam is having abhishekam, and while abhishekam of that ultimate lingam is happening,
Rudra is having abhishekam.
yes, the Rudram is being chanted. Just bring that, that scene in front of our eyes, that we are also chanting Rudram while the Lord is having bath. In fact, maybe chanting Rudram while we are having bath itself is like a Rudrabhishekam.
Yes.
So that's the beauty of Rudram.
Absolutely. I mean, as you narrate this, what comes to mind is very beautifully Professor Kasturi has documented that when Bhagwan was in his teens, the priest then, Mr. Seshagiri Rao and a few others, they had composed 108 names for worship of Bhagwan. And later on, when Professor Kasturi became in charge of the press, there was a request to reprint that book. And so Professor Kasturi thought maybe it's a good idea to show it to Swami and get his permission and approval. So he took that list of 108 names to Bhagwan. Swami saw every name carefully. Swami removed some names. Swami added some names, and Swami modified some. And there Professor Kasturi says there was one name, Om Shri Sai Shankara Amshaya Namaha, which means he is part of Shankara, a facet of Shankara. But Swami cut that, and Swami said it is Om Shri Sai Shankaraya Namaha.
Kya baat hai?
Means he is the Shiva principle in its totality. And when you think about it, in the last decade of Bhagwan's physical sojourn, Bhagwan conducted the Atirudra Mahayagnam in Prasanthi Nilayam. He had the Atirudra conducted in Sundaram. You had Rudra Puja which was done in Trai. He established the Traishwara Lingam, the Sundareshwara Lingam. In Shivam, if you see, when the site was chosen for the construction of the Shiva Mandir, Swami asked 3 devotees whom he had given 3 lingas that had emerged from his being during Shivaratris, and Swami called these 3 devotees to bring these 3 lingams, and he did a Trilinga Abhishekam at that spot before the groundbreaking ceremony. And on that sacred spot you have the linga shaped Shivam now in Hyderabad. So you see how Bhagwan established this worship of the linga, worship of Shiva in every place connected to Swami's mission, and even in Prasanthi Nilayam. That is the worship that goes on every day.
The Sai Lingam.
The Sai Lingam in the Sanctum Sanctorum of Prasanthi Nilayam. So the Shiva worship, in fact, Swami was born on a Monday. If you see, Swami was born on a Monday, and everything, Swami declared he is Shiva Shakti Swarupa. Everything about Bhagwan is the birthplace of Bhagwan, has a Shivalayam, that's the Shiva temple. So everything is connected to the Rudra worship, to the worship of the Shiva principle.
So, of course, we are not here to establish the fact that Swami is Shiva, because, then it will only create more discussions on whether he is Shiva or whether he is Vishnu or whether he is Ganesha. He is, of course, Sarva Devata Swarupa, and he is even beyond, Sarva Devata Tita Swarupa. So, what we just wanted to establish in this first part is the importance of Rudram. The importance that Swami gave to Rudram.
Yes.
And so, continuing on that, it was in 2008 when we were all celebrating the Sahasra Purna Darshanam of Swami, which is the 1000 full moons of Swami. A very unique thing happened, something which till that time had never happened. On the occasion of the Sahasra Purna Chandra Darshanam, Swami wanted all the staff and students, in Swami's institutions to learn the Rudram.
Yes.
Okay, I remember that we had special coaching classes in Kulvanthal.
In Swami's physical presence. In fact, before he came, the coaching would start. I mean, Darshan period became Vedam coaching session.
Yeah, means Kulvanthal was converted into a coaching center. Okay, and that is the importance that Swami gave, and so much so that, though I still remember I was in the hostel and the warden would tell us, brothers, those who are not confident in Rudram, please don't sit in the front because you will be called up by Swami, because that used to happen. If you did not know Rudram and you were sitting there, Swami would be keenly looking at every student who would sit there, and most brothers who were not confident would simply chant something else, Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe, just to move their lips.
But at the same time, so many took to learning Vedam because learning Rudram became passport to divine physical proximity.
And Swami had asked for lists, and those who were the best chanters in the university, unfortunately I was not part of that, got special Angavastram and dhotis from Swami's divine hands. I think almost 500 boys were hand-picked for chanting Rudram. Okay, so that was the 2008, the importance of Rudram. And I still remember that every night, in every room in the hostel, in the senior boys hostel as well as in the junior boys hostel, we all sat together and we would learn Rudram.
And Swami also talked about the meaning of the Rudram.
Yes. So let's now go into how does the Rudram come about? Why Rudram and why not Shivam? It is strange that in Rudram you have the Panchakshari mantra, which is Om Namah Shivaya. It's not Om Namah Rudraya, right? So this word Rudra has several root words. Just like, the complexity of Sanskrit is such that it has layers of meaning. And so the word Rudra has got 9 different root words. Okay, and for example, it is Rudra also comes from the end notes of the music. The last note of music is the root word of Rudra, it is said. Then another is the most, ubiquitous meaning, or the ones that we all know, is the one who destroys, the one who devours. Rudra is the one who devours all the sorrows. So like that there are several meanings of this word Rudra.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, as you are mentioning how Sanskrit is such a coded language, you can understand every word of Sanskrit through 9 forms of grammar, and through each form of grammar you can get 9 meanings. So every Sanskrit word potentially has
9 different meanings.
Yeah, 9 into 9.
Oh, okay.
It has 81 meanings. So that's why how much ever we say that, okay, we have understood the meaning of this mantra, our knowledge is very, 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 very inadequate.
Correct.
But at the same time, whatever we can understand, that itself is so beautiful and so profound.
Yes.
Like for example, one very beautiful meaning of Rudra, Bhagavan explained in summer course in 1972. Swami said the word Rudra is equivalent to the word Rodana. And Swami says, Rodana means all life forces function because of divine strength. See, when a newborn baby comes into the world, the first thing the baby does is crying.
So Rodana actually means to cry.
To cry, to cry. So that is the sign that all the organs are functioning properly, that the life force is operating.
In fact, when the baby cries, we are very joyous.
Yeah, we are joyous because you know that now the life force is perfect in the baby. So Swami says that what expresses as Rodana in the baby is Rudra. Rudra which expresses as Rodana.
Wow.
So when you are born, it is through a Rodana, and when you die also you cry. So again it is a Rodana. You operate your entire life with the power of the Rudra from Koham to Soham, as Swami says. That happens because you are energized by Rudra. That is one meaning of Rudra.
Beautiful.
There's so many meanings of Rudra.
Exactly. Yeah, we could spend the next 1 hour just discussing that. Yeah. So coming to the Rudram per se, we all know that there are 2 parts of the Rudram, it's called the Namakam and the Chamakam. And how we know that they're Namakam and Chamakam is simply, if you just hear the Rudram, we will know where Namo, Namo, Namo comes. Where we are giving our salutations to the Lord, it is Namakam. And where Chame, Chame comes, that is Chamakam. So a lot of people, have different thoughts on this. The first one is almost like buttering the Lord, and the second part is to ask the Lord. So having buttered him now, you can ask something from him. But Swami gives a very beautiful meaning. He says, if you look at the Rudram and if you look at the Namakam part, there are very strange names of the Lord. We say that Nicherave Paricharaya Ranya Nam Patayanam, the one who roams through forests, we pray our salutations to him. Like that there are very kind of funny and inexplicable or ununderstandable words that come through the Rudram. What Swami is basically telling us that wherever you see in the universe, wherever you see in the world around, it is pervaded by the Lord. Okay, so the Namakam is nothing but our ability to see the Lord in everything around us. So whether it is in the lightning, whether it's in the thunder, whether it's in the blade of grass, whether it's in a forest, whether it's in mountains or in oceans, everything is filled with the presence, the pervasiveness of the Lord.
Wow.
And that is what Namakam says. And therefore, there is only one being from whom I can ask something. Okay, because only he exists everywhere, and that is Chamakam. And whatever I want to ask, I will not ask the world, because the world on its own does not exist. Whom to ask? Ask only the Lord, because only the Lord is capable of giving you. And so the chame, that is, we ask for everything from children to prosperity to, to status, position, power, whatever we may ask for. Okay, we will ask only from God. Nothing, no other entity is worth asking for because it doesn't exist.
Yes.
The only entity that exists is the Lord.
Wow.
So how beautifully he has explained to us that the Namakam and Chamakam is all about keeping God as the center of our lives.
Wow. In fact, in another discourse, Bhagwan gives another lovely meaning of Namakam and Chamakam. This is a discourse on August 9, 2006. Swami says, Sri Rudram is comprising of Namakam and Chamakam. The Namaka emphasizes the aspect of detachment, and the Chamaka stresses on the aspect of desire. But Swami says the essence of both is same. The essence of both is one. And I was trying to understand this. A senior brother shared how once when a few students were with Bhagwan in the interview room, the discussion moved on towards karma and how you can come out of the cycle of birth and death, and how you cannot be bound to the actions that you are performing. And in that context, Swami suddenly said, but there is a secret by which you cannot face the consequences of your actions. You can be out of the cycle of facing the consequences of your actions. And so all the boys got curious, and so they started thinking, what could it be? Is it selfless service, nishkama karma and all that? Then Swami said, no. The easiest way to ensure that none of the actions attach themselves to you is whatever you do, offer it to God. And one boy got so excited, Swami, is it so simple, Swami? If I just do this, will nothing affect me? Swami said, yes. Whatever you do, Sai Shwararpanamastu. Can you do it with this feeling? Then it will not touch you. And now, as you said, Namakam is to see God in everything. God is He is the resident of the mountains. He is there as the one who's flowing in the rivers. Now, if God is there in everyone, God is there in the ignorant, in the arrogant, He is there in the intellectual, He is there in the irreverent. At the same time, if we can see God in everything, so the only way we can worship God is to see God in everything. Seeing God in everything is the worship of God. I think so. And when you have that kind of an attitude, obviously you are not attached to anything. So that is the detachment that Namakam gives you, because you are not attached to anything that you do, because you are only worshipping God and offering everything to God. Now, when do we do the Chamakam? And what do we do in Chamakam? As you said, we ask for everything in this world, anything that will give us happiness now and hereafter. And in Chamakam, when do we ask? We ask after we have recognized that God is there in everything. So when we are asking God for all the material things, we are asking not the things. We are asking because we have recognized that God is there in everything. Our focus is God. We want not the objects. We want that because of what is the permanent thing in those objects. So when we have that kind of an attitude, then every desire is sublimated. So that's why Swami is telling the aspect of detachment and the aspect of desire. Everything is, the essence is one, because ultimately you are not desiring objects. You are only desiring God in the objects. And they say, the best way to attach yourself to God, to detach yourself from the world, is to attach yourself to God. And I think that is what is in essence Chamakam and Namakam. And as you mentioned, Bhagwan, that's a very beautifully says in the discourse that Sri Rudram is the essence of all the Vedas. Rig, Yajur, Sam, Atharva. After Bhagwan has started this mass movement, universalization of the Rudram chanting, every now and then we come across so many people who have benefited tremendously from chanting of the Rudram. I remember a devotee writing from the Middle East saying how her 80-year-old mother, whenever she chants Rudram, she feels so energetic. Even everybody else in the home gets the infection, she does not get an infection. There's another person who in 2007 he traveled all the way to northeast of India and he taught Vedam, and he says one day a person came to him and said, if I chant Rudram, will I be cured of a deadly infection? That person was infected with a very life threatening disease, and he said, yeah, Rudram can cure if you have that sincerity, chant. And this person says when he came back after 6 months, he just suddenly remembered that and he called, and he found out that this person who was in the hospital, he got completely cured. He took to Rudram chanting so steadfastly, the infection that he had, it is the infection which will be passed on to your children. You cannot prevent that. Not only did he get cured of that infection, the child that was born, they were longing for a child, and the child that was born healthy, free of that virus. So, and there are any number of such stories where people have taken to the chanting because Rudram heals, Rudram purifies. In fact, I remember during the grand celebration of Rudram happened in 2017 when we had nearly 12,000 devotees from India and abroad chanting the Rudram in Sai Connect Hall in one voice. And we had the opportunity actually to talk to some of the people who were the delegates who had the chance to participate. So here is this little video to give you a glimpse of that beautiful symphony of Rudram that happened in Prasanthi Nilayam and the impact that it created.
Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Om Namaste Rudramanyava Utota Ishave Namaha.
Interested in these Vedic mantras. For some reason I used to load them into my iPod, and on my way back from Infosys I used to listen to them, and end of the day when I get on from a bus I feel that I have a lot more energy through that, and that was a reinforcement that okay, all of this is going to add to your vibrations and stuff like that.
I felt as if all 15,000 of us could have chanted forever. Everybody poured their hearts out into this chant. Every now and then I would look up at the screen and the faces of the people, the devotion in their chanting, the intensity in their chanting. There were Caucasians, there were East Asian looking people, there were Indian subcontinent people. Everybody was there together.
It was an extraordinary feeling. The power, the energy you felt, waves of it go through you, was absolutely amazing.
बात बात पर मुझे गुस्सा आ जाता था. मैं किसी की बात को बराबर सुनती नहीं थी और बहुत गुस्सा करती थी. जब मैंने रुद्र पाठ शुरू किया और नमकम ने जब हर चीज़ को नमो नमो बोला गया, हर चीज़ में नमो नमो, तो मेरा गुस्सा ऑटोमेटिक कम होता चला गया. जब भी मुझे गुस्सा आता था तो मुझे नमो नमो, वो हर चीज़ में नमो नमो, इसको नमस्कार करना है, ऑटोमेटिक मेरा गुस्सा कम होता चला गया.
What started as Veda Patashalas, perhaps sometime in the 60s, I used to think, Swami has said that nothing in his mission will ever fail, but Veda Patashala started and it closed. There were times when I had a doubt, why did this, close? It took me decades to understand it hasn't closed. It has metamorphosed into Sathya Sai University, into Bal Vikas, into Sathya Sai organization, Vidya Vahini, where, you can be anywhere. You don't have to be in Veda Patashala and Puttaparthi to learn Veda. Today children are distracted by various devices. So in our school, we were all called, all the parents were called, and they presented a very sophisticated study explaining what is meant by instant gratification and delayed gratification, and how a study, it took 2 decades to show that delayed gratification, when children are taught delayed gratification, they become much more accomplished adults. And as I was standing and watching the seminar, Dato Jagadishan explained that it is nothing but Shreyas and Preyas. The instant gratification is Preyas and delayed gratification is Shreyas. So all these concepts which the Westerners have taken 2 decades have been given to us so early on in life. So then I realized, we had all these concepts taught to us long back. All we have to do is implement it.
Samasta loka
So the video that you just saw was during the Veda conference that happened in 2017. 1 year later in 2018, on the occasion of the National Sadhana Conference, which happened in November during Swami's birthday celebrations, a very interesting presentation was made by one Dr. Avinash Kulkarni. And he presented the scientific impact, or he conducted a scientific study of this mass chanting. And it's a pretty brilliant a study that he has done. He continues to do these kind of studies. During the presentation, he said that in 2017, during the mass chanting, he had actually studied the energy levels. So there is a particular antenna which is called the BioWell antenna, and that this particular antenna can actually measure the energy levels. And so it's a fairly scientific equipment which is available. You can buy, you can study it. And so using this particular antenna, which is supposed to be more than 500 times more powerful than the Kirlian photography. You must have heard about the Kirlian photography, which can actually measure the aura around the body. And so this is now a very advanced machine, and using this he had studied the energy levels, and he found that as the Omkaram started and right up to Om Shanti Shanti during the mass chanting, he actually showed the graph of how the energy levels in Kulwant Hall consistently kept rising and reached a crescendo. And he made one more startling revelation. He said that usually the joules is the way you can measure energy, and he said that while in any other place the natural energy of that place will be roughly about 1 joule, which is like supposed to be the standard, in Kulwant Hall at any given time the energy level is 3 joules, which is 3 times more powerful than any other place.
Wow.
And so imagine doing Rudram chanting in the Kulwant Hall. He said that in his lifetime he had not seen this kind of a observation where it had reached pretty crescendo, and it had reached a climactic level of energy. So that is, even scientifically we can today understand the impact that Rudram creates on, especially when done in mass chanting.
Wow. In fact, so many people continue to chant across continents now, the Rudram. And when you think about it, we said that, yes, if you understand the meaning and then chant, then the kind of experiences that you get, the kind of feelings that emerge, only heighten your experience of chanting the Rudram. Just like in bhajans, when you understand some of the words in bhajans and chant, you pour your heart out, the whole experience is so elevating. Similarly, from whatever meanings we can understand of the Rudram, even if you take a few lines, a few words from the Rudram, and if you pour your feelings, then so beautifully you can connect to Swami, isn't it?
In fact, yeah, we would request you that pick up any one word, or any one phrase which helps you to connect, because otherwise I think, especially when we do Ekadashi Rudram, we can tend to the whole process, and if we chant it consistently, it can become mechanical. I remember when we were children and we didn't understand, we were much younger. It used to be like a race to the end. Basically, you start Rudram to finish it. That is the whole idea of doing the Rudram, because it was just complex Sanskrit words. But imagine if you are able to pick up 1 or 2 words and dive deep into it.
Yes, absolutely. And as you said, picking up 1 or 2 words, 1 or 2 lines. Let me take the 6th line of the first Anuvaka. So where we chant as Ya te Rudra Shiva Tanura Ghora Papakashini Taya Nastanuvashantamaya
Girisham Chabichakashi.
So one meaning is, by that supremely peaceful form of yours, you destroy all sin. You are so blissful, you are so auspicious, and you grant us the knowledge supreme. So this whole thing, Papakashini, just your form destroys all sin. That whole imagery is so powerful. In fact, I remember listening to this very lovely anecdote that happened in the Sai Kulwant Hall many years ago. So there was this person who had come for the first time, and he's looking around. Everybody is sitting there with a prayer on their lips and looking so pious, and he was a businessman and he just felt that he's a misfit kind of, in the midst of all these noble souls. And someone suggested, if you want, you can write a letter to Swami. And they gave him a cover and they gave him a paper. And so he thought, this should be the day of change in my life. The chance that I've come here and I'm sitting here, and if I get to see this Lord, from today I should start a new chapter. And so in that letter, he writes everything that he has done in his life, which he felt he should not have done. And he thought, if Swami comes and he takes the letter, from tomorrow onwards, I'll be a new person. And so when Bhagwan comes, and we know how Bhagwan so beautifully stops here and there and picks up letters. And so when Swami came to this person, he was just holding it, but Swami stretched his hand and took the letter. And he was in an avalanche of tears because he felt, my God, it's like I am now a new person. He has accepted everything that I have done in the past and he has nullified it. And his attention was only on that cover, which was in Swami's hand. Swami kept that in his hand, even as Swami was taking other letters, but this cover was in Swami's hand and his eye was only on that. And as Swami turned and coming towards the student side, he suddenly saw that that cover dropped. There were a few devotees sitting there. And that's it. He fell to the nadir of depression and sorrow. He told, my God, I am so incorrigible that even God for a moment thought that, yeah, maybe I can pardon this person, but he's beyond.
He's given me up.
He's given me up. I'm irreparable. He felt, and he started crying that, Swami has just discarded my life. He just thrown me. And so when Swami went back, he was so sad. At the same time, suddenly that thought came, my God, who is having the letter? Because his whole life history is there in that letter. He didn't want anyone to read that. So he goes and he finds out that the letter is there on the lap of a mendicant, of a sannyasi. And he goes and tells that, hey, this is my letter. I have given this letter to Swami. And the sannyasi says, Sai Ram, this is Swami's prasadam to me. I cannot give it to you. No, this is, how can you read my letter? It's very personal. I don't know all that. It came from Bhagwan directly. I can't give it to you. And so there's a bit of a commotion there, and the Sevadal comes, and the Sevadal also doesn't know how to solve this conundrum. He prays to Bhagwan and then he says, okay, see, Swami threw the cover into your lap, okay? So let's do this. I will take that letter. The letter belongs to this man. I will give the letter to him. The cover belongs to you.
Very interesting, smart solution.
Yeah. The Sevadal said to the sannyasi, you can keep the cover. And so he removed, both of them agreed. So he removed the letter, gave it to this person. And as he was removing the letter, something fell out of that cover. And it was some currency notes and some coins. And businessman said, I didn't put any money in that. So the Sevadal said, then it belongs to you only, sannyasi. Swami has, I don't know how it has manifested, you take it. The sannyasi took that, and when he counted, now he started crying because he said, my God, this is what I prayed. With a lot of difficulty, I came for one darshan. I didn't have money to go back. I had no idea how I'll go back. And now Swami has given me exactly the amount needed for me to go back.
Amazing.
Thank you, Swami. And he started crying.
Right.
And after that, this businessman took the letter, and as he opened, now he again was a sea of tears because everything that he had written had become just white.
Blank.
Wow. He said he thought that Swami has discarded him. Swami has discarded his past, not him.
Wow.
Everything was clear.
Beautiful.
So that is how, just one darshan. That's what is Tanura Ghora Papa Kashini. Whatever Aghora. In fact, one doctor once asked Swami, how many sins of ours will you forgive? And Swami said, as many as you commit. As many as you commit, provided there is non-repeating repentance.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we have a blank check for it.
But provided there is repentance.
Yeah. So how beautiful if we as we just contemplate on this word.
So every time we chant this Rudram, we can think, Swami, so many times I have faltered, so many times I have made mistakes, but still you have lifted me up, still you have loved me, still you have cared for me.
Yeah. And what we will try to do in the next few minutes is just take a few words And whatever stories come to our mind, we'll try to share with you. Only to let you know that while you hear this and when you chant Rudram, you take up your own, the words and the epithets and the gunas that are being told in this Rudram. You take a few of them and contemplate on their meaning. So here is another beautiful line, which, from the first Anuvaka once again. Asau yastamro aruna uta babrusu mangalaha. Okay, so this actually is a very beautiful, imagery. It actually says that this Aruna is the early morning sun, the sunrise at dawn. And what is the color of that? It is babru. Babru means orangish, orange brownish, in fact. And tamra means copper red. Okay, and when we were kind of discussing and, we came across this and we said, wow, this avatar is born in 1926. This Rudram is written like, thousands of years ago. And yet they knew how our Lord was going to look like. Because exactly the orange and the copper red. And I'm sure, dear brothers and sisters, if you would have seen the innumerable photos and videos of Swami, one thing you will figure out is that in every photograph he looks different. Sometimes he looks very fair, like Bhasma Bhushan, Bhasma Lepana Sarvangam. That is the one who has put ash all over his body. But most times, he would always be in the orange. The Babrus Sumangalaha.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
That orange. And what brings to our mind is those early morning and early evening darshans.
Yes.
Especially when Swami was in Prasanthi Nilayam, in the mandir. And, he would switch off the lights in the interview room, and then the interview room door would open. And from that darkness of that interview room, this orange flame will step out. Oh my God, that used to be a stunning visual. Okay, what it meant when that orange flame came out. And possibly when we think of Asau yastamro aruna uta babrussu mangalaha. Imagine, take your minds back to around 6:45 in the morning.
Yes.
And from that darkness, the early morning sun, this orange flame, arises. So, this is another way by which we can visualize Swami's darshan while we are chanting Rudram.
And that was the sunrise for all of us.
Yes, and that was the sunset also for all of us. Because his evening darshan, coincided with the sunset. Okay, and so that's the beautiful imagery that comes out of this particular line.
Yes, absolutely. And as you go on, you take, for instance, another beautiful line. Namo astu Nilagrivaya
Sahasrakshaya Midushe.
Nilagrivaya means the blue-throated one.
Yes.
And always this epithet of Shiva, floods your mind with so many moments with Bhagwan, because if you see Swami's life, it was nothing but taking all the problems onto himself. What did Shiva do? He kept all the poison within himself.
No, just imagine, he coming out for darshan, and what should have been a good time that he would have had on earth. And what did we sit and do? We kept giving him all our problems. Swami, this is my letter. This is I want this, I want that. Please cure this, please cure that. And what did he do? With a smiling face, he came and he picked all our problems.
Absolutely.
I would see and then he would come in fact to the students and say, I already have these many. What else are you going to give me now?
Absolutely. Shiva kept all the poison within himself, but he kept the moon on his crown. Because what he wanted to give was only the soothing, white, beautiful light. But all the poison was within him. And I think the same thing with Bhagwan. If you just see the number of travels that Swami did. Swami has traveled nearly 3 lakh kilometers, in the whole of South India, North India. And he's gone to every village, every town in Karnataka, Andhra, in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala. I remember in 1991, once Swami had called a few boys to cut dhotis and prepare these clothes for distribution. In those days, during Dasara, during birthday, always it was a distribution spree. Swami would continuously keep giving sevadals, students, devotees. So when the boys were doing this, one of the boys was massaging Bhagwan's feet, and suddenly he noticed that there is a blister on Bhagwan's foot. And he said, Swami, this is so bad, Swami. It's such a deep blister. Swami, you should not go for Padmavskam, because in those days we did not have the marble floor like we have now. It was very rough concrete. 91, it was very, very rough concrete. little better than sand, that's all. I think sand is even better. This is very rough actually.
Correct.
And Swami would continuously for hours, would keep giving, and people, as he used to take namaskar, people would, press his feet. And Swami said, no, I have to go. So many people have come, so many places. I have to go. No, Swami, please, this is very bad, Swami. You know what Swami did? Swami got a nail cutter and Swami just removed of that.
He just
removed of that. He told, people should not know. How did you come to know? Nobody should know that I have this problem. The skin was exposed. And Swami went and he gave Pada Namaskaram to the scores of Sevadals, and he came back and this boy was crying, Swami, why did you do this? Swami, you should take care of your body. Swami told, this is not my body. This is not my body. If you want, you pray.
Exactly. That is what the Nilakantha means. That I will take the poison of the entire body, of the entire world, because this body belongs to you.
Yeah. I said, if you want, you pray. The other very beautiful name, Sahasrakshaya. Sahasrakshaya is, he is there everywhere. He is present in our every thought. There was once this boy in the hostel who was sitting in his room. Bhagwan came for suddenly into the Hillview Stadium for a round, and Swami went to the rear of the hostel. Swami stood for some time and Swami returned back to the mandir. Everyone thought maybe Swami will come inside. Swami did not come. In the evening, Swami called the warden and Swami is looking for this particular boy. So it took some time to locate this boy. When this boy came, Swami said, "Hey boy, this morning you had a bad headache and you were sitting in that corner and you're looking out of the window and you were telling Swami, I'm having this headache, Swami, if only you can come, I want to see you, Swami." And I came there, I was standing there, but you were so down, you didn't raise your head. If you only had lifted your head, you would have seen me. So, I think there are so many such moments where Bhagwan is telling, just lift yourself a little and you can feel my presence. And that is what Sahasrakshaya. I think like this we can go on, take so many beautiful names that are there in Rudram.
So one of the easier, I think, lines in the Rudram is also one of our favorite, which is like an invitation to God. If you were to you want to introduce God to someone, how would you do it? I think this is the one line that you can use for introducing God, which is Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Nilakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Such a beautiful line with so many words that we possibly can understand, And so we thought a little bit, yes. Because once again, it's all like, it's like an onion. You keep peeling it and there is some more inside. So let's take some of the words from this, starting with, Vishveshwaraya. Vishveshwaraya simply means the Ishvara of the Vishwa, which is the Lord of the entire world. And here another very beautiful instance comes to my mind. In the early 90s or the late 80s, there was a very favorite car of Bhagwan. It was given to him by one of the devotees. It was the first Jaguar that was, that had come to the country and that was offered to Swami. And so with a big fanfare and there was a lot of excitement, and Swami is this always utsaha, there's always a joy, anything from inaugurating a Gokulam, a cow shed, to getting a new pot, a flower pot, to possibly getting a car. So he was excited about the car. He was showing everyone, see this new car. And so this devotee inside was feeling very happy that Swami is so excited. And to top it all, he said, he makes this point, okay? He says, Swami, aisa gaadi is desh mein ek hi hai. He says this is the first car. He wanted to add to the excitement of Swami. And just the moment he said this, Swami looks at him and says, and all of that excitement kind of goes away and suddenly like a serious face, and then Swami says, Aisa Sai Baba is pura duniya mein ek hi hai. This is the Lord of the entire world. Who are we to give him anything? Okay, that is Sarveshwaraya. So this is one story that came to my mind when I was thinking of Sarveshwaraya is what? Aisa Sai Baba is duniya mein ek hi hai.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Mahadevaya, if you think of that name, again a very...
The God of all gods. So if the first one is Sarveshwaraya, which is God of the world, then Mahadevaya, I think, is God of all gods.
All gods. And very powerful incident that happened many years ago. So in those days, Bhagwan used to come out for darshan, by 7:30. But one day Swami came out very early at 6:30. And there were a few research scholars whom Bhagwan used to speak to often. And so that day Swami came, he went into the interview room and he asked for the research scholars. So they all rushed from the hostel. And when they went, they entered into the interview room and they saw that Swami is very quiet. Swami is like in a very meditative mood.
Closed his eyes.
Closed his eyes and in that bliss, that is Shiva, that is Swami. And so all the boys went, slowly one by one came and they just took their places and it was like meditation with Swami. For the boys, the meditation was looking at Swami and Swami was somewhere else. So this happened like for half an hour. Another 15 minutes, after 45 minutes of absolute stillness and silence, suddenly Swami opened his eyes and he smiled. And then everybody eased themselves a little. And then Swami asked, what is the date today? So this said, Swami, August 6th. What happened on this day? And they couldn't really think. So many things happened on August 6th. Swami said, it was on this day that the atom bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. And at this moment, the devotees in Japan, they have collected in that area, they are lighting candles and they are worshipping. They are praying that such a calamity should never happen again. I went and I heard their prayers.
Wow. I received the prayers.
I received their prayers.
Mahadevaya.
No matter whom you pray to, there is only one consciousness and he alone responds.
Let's move on to the next one, which is Trayambakaya.
Trayambakaya.
So Trayambakaya simply means the one with the third eye. Trayambakaya. So how do we understand this? Of course, as we said, there are multiple meanings. There are multiple ways that we can understand each of these words. So this is my understanding that so to see this entire world, we need two eyes, right? One eye will give us only 2 dimensions. And in order to see the third dimension, we need the second eye. We all know that. So what would the Lord or what would we do with a third eye? Which dimension will we be able to see with the third eye? We all know this entire world is made up of space and time. So for space, we need 2 eyes. Possibly the third eye is to see time. Right? And so he is also called Kala, Kala Titaya Namaha, Kala Kalaya Namaha. So to see time, and so this is what I thought that for Swami it was space and time. And he could see all of time at one shot. And I'm reminded of my personal experience here. When I was in primary school, Swami had called a family for an interview. And in the interview, it was not a great interview. Swami was, bad boy, this one. And then he made a statement. He said, बहुत TV देखता है. This fellow watches a lot of TV. And in my mind, I'm thinking, where in primary school can I watch TV? Like this is doesn't make sense. There is no TV to watch. Swami, what are you talking about? And even my parents, and of course my father had the guts to tell Swami that, Swami, what TV means like, where does he watch TV kind of thing? And Swami said, no, yes, watches a lot of TV. And okay, so Swami is saying, so we just, kind of took it. Okay, 15 years later, I got so addicted to TV. I used to love cricket matches. I used to watch test matches for 7 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Okay. And one of those days when I had woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch some New Zealand test match, it struck me, oh my God.
Wow.
This is what Swami was talking about 15 years before. Wow. That I watch a lot of TV. What am I doing?
Wow.
So at that moment, I felt that Swami was seeing me watching that. For him, it is all one, right?
All one.
There's no 15 years before or behind, right? It's all one. And so he was telling me what he was seeing.
Yes. And in that one moment when he's giving, he's trying to give us so much.
Yes.
Our containers are small.
Exactly. We have only 2 eyes. We don't have the third eye. Right? So that, to me, that is the meaning of Trayambakaya, that he knows all of time and he's watching us all the time.
Absolutely. And Tripurantakaya, you go on to that, again, such a very profound name. The legend has it that, there were these 3 demons who prayed to Lord Brahma and they got a boon which almost made them invincible. So they had these 3 cities, that is why it is Tripura, one city made of gold, silver and iron, and they could roam all the three worlds in these three cities, and nobody could annihilate them. The only one who can annihilate them is if you can shoot an arrow when all these three cities are in one line, and that will happen once in 1,000 years.
Okay, some crazy, yeah, right.
So with time, they became egoistic and started troubling people, and so the gods didn't know how to find a solution.
So they prayed to Shiva, and
Shiva said, okay, he will take up this task, and all the gods felt we have to help Shiva in this task. And so Vishnu said, I will become the arrow. The earth said, I will become the chariot. So similarly, all the gods gave weapons to Shiva, and they went in a procession with Shiva to annihilate this demon. And Shiva goes there, he looks at the demons, he just stands there and gives a beautiful smile. That's all. He just beams.
And all of them are destroyed.
All of them are destroyed. Now they say, like in Indian tradition, all these stories are very metaphoric. Those three cities, the three Puras, they say they are the causes for our birth. And what are they? They are Aham, the ego, like this. Demons thought that they are the ones, they are doing everything, they have got this boon to become invincible. Aham, Karma and Maya. So it is these three that Shiva destroys. And how does he destroy? Shiva destroys with his smile. Shiva can destroy just like that. Aham, karma and Maya. Because whatever we are going through in life is a product of grief. And a product of grief is powerless in front of the product of bliss. Product of bliss is Shiva. And if only we can exude that smile that comes from bliss within, then we also can be out of the cycle of Aham, Karma and Maya.
Beautiful.
Tripurantaka.
Yeah. Another simple meaning of Tripurantaka are the three cities which stand for the wakefulness, the dream state, the deep sleep. So there are many meanings. Moving on to Trikagni Kalaya. What are these Trikagni? What are the three Agnis? Everything with Shiva seems to be like three, right? Tridhalam, Trigunakaram, Trinetram, cha Triyayudham, Trijanma Papa Samharam, Ekabilvam, Shivarpanam. So this three seems to have a very, deep connection with the Lord, Shiva, Rudra. So what are these Trikagnis? They usually say that there are three obstacles, there are three fires which stop us on our spiritual path. Right? Swami would often talk about it, which is Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik and Adhyatmik. And so Adi Bhautik simply means all the physical obstacles that are there in this causal world, right? It could be some time-based things, or it could be our health, right, which is stopping us to do something. It could be a person who is stopping us to do. It could be distances. All of that is Adi Bhautik. Adi Daivik refers to all the mental obstacles that we may have. Our phobias, our prejudices, our biases. Right? And then Adhyatmik. Even beyond the mind, there are certain obstacles which stop us, and those are the very subtle ones like Ahamkara. That sometimes it so happens that I'm able to overcome all of this, but my own spiritual ego stops me from realizing the ultimate. Right? And he is the one who Trikagni Kalaya. He is the one who destroys all the three these kind of, and I'm reminded of a beautiful incident that you had told me of one of the brothers.
Of this brother, he was telling me, he studied for many years in Prasanthi Nilayam, and once he had the chance to speak to a very advanced soul, and this person said that when I look at your life, what I see is, in your previous birth, the family situation was such that you had to take up the entire responsibility of managing the affairs of the family, and you took it very seriously. And you took it so seriously that you didn't even get married because you wanted to discharge that to the best of your ability. While that was good in one sense, but what it also happened is that you got very attached to that also. Okay. You got very attached to that responsibility. And this is something that God wants you to overcome. He said, you can get attached to responsibility, but you cannot get attached to responsibility in a physical sense. You have to get attached to responsibility in a spiritual sense.
Okay.
And he said, now in this life, when he thought about it, he saw that whenever he is achieving something in his company, he starts a project, or he takes over a new product. So whenever he achieves something, whenever he has built something, it breaks. The moment it comes to a stage where he's going to get attached to it, it just breaks.
It's taken away from him.
It's taken away from him. So when he heard that, that gave him that insight, how even during his entire student life, Swami did not give him too much attention. Swami spoke to him like 3-4 times in the entire 7 or 9 years he studied. But he says that is only because he didn't want me to get attached to that form also.
Wow.
So we can, because God is only interested in the growth of the soul, and for the growth of the soul, He will do anything.
Yes, He'll remove all the
He'll
obstacles.
remove all the obstacles.
Even if something is not like an obstacle to us.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing, beautiful, yeah.
I mean, there are, when you look back,
Yes.
all our lives, we will find so many such.
Our whole endeavor over here is, as you know, we are sharing these thoughts.
Yes.
I'm sure a million thoughts are going on through your minds.
Yes.
And if that is able to help us focus better while we are chanting Rudram, I think that will be the the best part. We'll probably conclude, of course we can go on. There's 3 more words: Neelakantaya, Mrityunjaya, Sarveshwaraya, Sadashivaya, Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. So Neelakantaya we have already covered. Let's take the next word, which is Mrityunjaya. And for this we have a whole Mrityunjaya mantra.
Yes.
Right? Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhana. It's a beautiful mantra. But strangely, this Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat, Mrityor Mukshi Mamridat. In such a beautiful mantra, there is a vegetable which is being referred to. This vegetable, Urva Rukamiva, is actually like a cucumber.
Yes.
Okay? So, the prayer that we are making in this particular Mahamrityunjaya mantra is just like when a cucumber ripens completely, how easily it is able to break away from its stalk. Like that, let my life break away from, let my body break away from my life.
Yes.
Right? How beautiful, what an analogy to give, okay, which is just like a cucumber. We have once again so many instances come to our mind, which would be like what we can call as a dream death. We are reminded of another very beautiful soul. His name is Mr. G.K. Raman. We all know him. He was the former trust convener of the Tamil Nadu Trust. And guess where he passed away? He passed away in the Sai Kulwant Hall while Swami was giving darshan. When Swami finished his darshan and he was just entering into, and G.K. Raman sir sees Swami and he just collapsed. And in fact, Swami, water was brought and Swami poured in his mouth water, and that is where he gave up. Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat. There was once a devotee whom Swami had told that let there be only one prayer, and he had given this prayer. He said, Anayasena Maranam Vina Dainyena Jivanam Dehante Tava Sanidhyam Dehime Parameshwaram. Anayasena Maranam. Let my Maranam be without any trouble. Without any trouble to anyone.
Correct.
Okay. Sevaka Vina Dainyena Jivanam. During this Jivanam, let there be no trouble.
Yes.
Okay. Dehante Tava Sanidhyam. While I am giving up my life, let me be in your Sanidhyam. Okay. Dehime Parameshwaram. Let this be a prayer. Yeah. What a beautiful prayer. Yeah. This is the prayer that is actually told in the Mrityunjaya mantra, which is Pushtivardham. You give me all of the good health. Yes. But when I have to go, let it be like Urva Rukamiva Bandhana.
In fact, one devotee who actually prayed for this was Bangalore Nagaratnamma. She was the one who instituted the Tyagaraja Aradhana. Yes. She was the one who built the Samadhi for Tyagaraja and started this whole process of worshipping Rama and singing the Kritis of Tyagaraja. In 1951, Tyagaraja Swami comes in her dream and says that, my Rama has come back again, you go and have darshan. And that is how she comes to the palace of Venkatagiri Raja and she has darshan of Swami. And the moment she sees Swami, instantly she knows that it is the same Sri Ramachandra, and she starts singing all those kritis, Ra Rama Inti Daka and all those kritis. And Swami and Bangalore Nagaratnammal, for 2.5 hours they sing kritis, all unknown kritis they sing. And in the end, she has only 2 requests to Swami. She says, Swami, please ensure that when I leave my body, it should be an absolute smooth passover. And second, your name should be on my lips. And Swami said, Tathastu. Swami blessed her and she left her body just exactly 6 months. Swami told him it will happen in 6 months. So 6 months from that date, she chanting Swami's name, she just left her body.
Wow.
I mean, there are, we have
You can
seen
go
any
on, and I'm
number
sure
of,
that all of you will be having similar such instances.
I mean, to conclude, I cannot help but think about Manikya Vasagar, the great Shaivite saint, after touring all over India and propagating the worship of Shiva, finally comes to the shrine of Chidambaram, and there one old man comes and says, your compositions are so beautiful, I will write them down, will you sing for me? And he says, okay. And he, that whole process goes on, and he sings, and that person writes down. And after a few days, they see that all these palm leaf inscriptions are there at the foot of the idol, and that old man is not there anymore. And it is written, when the priest takes those palm leaf inscriptions, it is written there that this work has been penned by the Lord of Chidambaram as dictated by Manikya Vasagar. And so they rush to Manikya Vasagar and they fall at the feet, and Manikya Vasagar rushed to the temple and says, oh Lord, you were there. I didn't know that you were there documenting. If Lord wants documentation to be done, he can do it.
His own archival system.
He can do it the way he wants, however he wants. But Manikya Vasagar cries and says, Lord, you came and I did not know you. And why did you put my name there? You are the one, you gave the word, you gave the syllables, you gave the music, you gave the melody. And he just cries to the Lord and falls at the feet of the Lord. And in that moment, when he just says that I am nothing, and he becomes nothing and emerges at the feet of the Lord. And I think what remained is only love. Creator did not exist, devotee did not exist, God did not exist. I feel only existed love. And I think that is what Rudram is taking to. And Swami himself is that Prema Avatara, Prema Swarupa. And if we can chant Rudram with that kind of feeling, pouring our love into it, then I think what will be left is only love and deep, intense love. And I think that is all that we need in life, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. So what we endeavor to do in this satsang is to introduce, for those of you who do not know Rudram, to introduce you to Rudram. And for those of us who know Rudram, to put our heart and soul into it, as Navaratri is around the corner and the Yajnam is going to happen. We request you all to tune in the Rudra Homam and the Yajnam. And along with that, whenever we chant the Rudram, take any one word or phrase that we love and contemplate on it and go as deep as we can, only to find, the bliss that we were talking about, and in that bliss lies our Swami.
Yes, thank you so much, each one of you, for your time, for your love, for your encouragement. And at the same time, we are grateful to all the members of the Media Center, so many brothers working behind the scenes to make this happen. We pray that we continue this beautiful sadhana of thinking of Him and increasing our love for Him every second of our lives. Thank you so much.
Sai Ram.